It's been 55 years since Janis Joplin passed away, and what still baffles people is why those closest to her used to call her ugly. But the saddest part wasn't the nickname itself. It was the relentless ridicule she endured all her life, which pushed that gifted soul down a path of self-destruction, ultimately leading to her sudden and mysterious death. Yet the real reason behind her death remains a hidden secret. How did it all begin for her? Why was she attacked so mercilessly by those around her? Did she really die from an accident in a hotel room? Join us as we uncover the answers in this video.
No, I've read some of the things he said, and he's been there.
It'd be hard to do that act.
Janis Joplin was born in 1943 in the small port town of Port Arthur, Texas, to middle-class parents Dorothy and Seth. From an early age, she carried a different kind of energy, the free spirit of an artist who didn't easily fit into the narrow norms around her. Her childhood was far from idyllic. In the confines of a small-town environment, she felt trapped in a stifling box, out of place with the way people thought and lived. As she entered adolescence, her appearance began to change. She gained weight, and her skin broke out with acne that left deep scars. Painful dermabrasion treatments offered hope of improvement, but the emotional wounds from cruel teasing and harsh nicknames in high school never truly healed. "I was a misfit," she once admitted bitterly. After graduating from high school in 1960, Janis enrolled in college in Texas, but soon realized she didn't belong there. A few bad experiences and an overwhelming sense of stagnation drove her to leave in 1963. Yet this period also marked the beginning of her biggest dream: music. She was captivated by folk and blues, especially the powerhouse voices of black female singers and the rebellious beat poets. Janis's image began to take shape, free-spirited, wild, unafraid to break every mold. In December 1962, at a University of Texas student's home, she recorded What Good Can Drink and Do, her very first track, a foundation stone for the legendary journey that lay ahead.
No. They wanted me to be a school teacher, like all parents.
The turning point came in January 1963, when Janis decided to leave Texas with her friend Chad Helms and head to North Beach, San Francisco. To her, Texas had become an invisible prison, while San Francisco was an open door to a world of freedom and vibrance. There, she immersed herself in the city's artistic life, but also began to drift into dangerous waters. Later that same year, Janis ran into legal trouble when she was arrested for shoplifting in San Francisco. It was a foreshadowing of the turbulent years ahead. Within just 2 years, she had fallen deep into drug use. Her reputation as a speed freak stuck to her as methamphetamine became part of her daily life. Heroin, hallucinogens, and alcohol, especially Southern Comfort, became her companions and her invisible chains. The toll of constant methamphetamine injections quickly ravaged her body. Janis, once full of life, had withered away into a frail, gaunt figure. Friends described her as a walking skeleton, a shadow of her former self. Alarmed for her health, her closest friends came up with a plan that was equal parts humorous and serious. They organized a bus fare party to raise money to send her back to Port Arthur, Texas, hoping that going home might pull her out of the darkness. By the spring of 1965, when Janis returned to Port Arthur, she was nothing like the radiant, energetic young woman she had once been. Weighing only 88 pounds, her body was skeletal, yet her eyes still held a flicker of defiance. she promised herself she would close the door on her past, breaking free from the drugs and alcohol that had shackled her spirit and wrecked her body. To mark a fresh start, she adopted a bold beehive hairstyle and enrolled in anthropology at Lamar University in Beaumont, Texas. For her, it wasn't just about studying. It was a desperate escape from the shadows still lurking nearby. That fall, life seemed to open an unexpectedly happy chapter. Janis became engaged to Peter DeBlanc, an IBM computer specialist from New York. Their romance had blossomed in San Francisco, with Peter even seeking her father's permission to marry her. In their minds, a wedding filled with laughter and a warm, steady future lay ahead. But Peter's job required him to travel constantly, and in a decision that shattered Janis's heart, he broke off the engagement. It was a devastating blow, yet Janis was determined not to fall back into her old addictions. In 1965-1966, while still struggling to find herself, Janis often met with Bernard Giarratano, a psychiatric social worker in Beaumont. Their conversations took place as part of a counseling program funded by the United Fund, the predecessor to United Way. In recollections later recorded by biographer Myra Friedman, Bernard said Janis was constantly torn. Her desire to become a professional singer was as strong as her fear of being dragged back into the drug world that had once haunted her. That inner conflict made her journey both hopeful and heartbreaking. She told her parents she was moving to Austin to join a rock band, but in reality, she went to San Francisco. When the truth came out, her family felt deeply hurt and betrayed. Amid the lies and instability, there was still one person quietly standing between her and the storms: Stephen Ryder. He persistently tried to keep Janis away from drugs, knowing full well it might only be a brief moment of calm. In 1966, Janis's band made their way to Chicago in hopes of landing a big break. But luck didn't smile on them. The person who had promised to help ran out of money, leaving the group stranded in a cold, unwelcoming city. They were forced to sign with Mainstream Records, but the recordings they made in Chicago lacked vitality and fell short of the quality they had hoped for. When they returned to San Francisco, the dream was still there, shimmering but fragile, as if one strong gust of wind could scatter it away.
Real, honest guts feeling they don't want to tinsel.
On July 31st, 1968, Janis Joplin stood at what seemed like a life-changing milestone. For the first time, she appeared on national television on the program This Morning. But the joy had barely begun to take root before it was crushed by a cruel twist of fate. The entire video footage of her performance was accidentally erased, leaving only the audio, a cold, hollow recording, like the echo of a moment that would never return. Fortunately, that same year, Big Brother and the holding company released Cheap Thrills under Columbia Records. The album shot straight to #1, and Piece of My Heart became a sensation, peaking at number 12 on the charts. Janis, once an outsider, was now a rock icon, her voice carrying everything from searing pain to fleeting joy, from passionate love to crushing loneliness. But the spotlight couldn't chase away the shadows in her mind. Janis left Big Brother to form the Cosmic Blues Band, carrying the hope of a fresh start. Yet heroin, the demon that had once drowned her, quietly pulled her back into the abyss. By early 1969, rumors swirled that she was spending as much as $200 a day on the drug. While recording I Got Dem Ol' Cosmic Blues Again, Mama, producer Gabriel Meckler invited her to live with him in Los Angeles, in hopes of keeping her away from heroin. But the pull of that toxic addiction was too strong. Every effort failed. She kept smiling under the stage lights, still burning bright for her audience, but her private life had turned into a sorrowful ballad. The breaking point came at Woodstock on August 17, 1969. Backstage before her set, Janis, nervous and restless, turned to heroin and alcohol to steady herself. When she stepped out, the cheers roared like waves, but her voice no longer had the weight that once shook entire arenas. The mesmerizing moves she was once known for now seemed unsteady, offbeat. Even when she shared the stage with another legend, Tina Turner, the performance crumbled under the relentless grip of her addiction. In June 1970, the Bay Area stage witnessed a performance that was both blazing and bittersweet. Janis Joplin's farewell before leaving the United States. A trip to Brazil with her close friend Linda Gravenites seemed to open a new, peaceful chapter. There, she met David Niehaus, a whirlwind romance that was enough to melt the jagged armor around her weary heart. Time with David allowed Janis to step away from drugs and alcohol, giving her a rare pause to simply breathe. But peace didn't last. When she returned to California, her addictions were waiting, and David Knus, who saw it firsthand, watched her slip back into the same old spiral. That love, fragile to begin with, couldn't survive the weight of the substances that had long bound her. Not long after, Janis found comfort in another embrace, Peggy Casera. But Peggy struggled with the same addiction, pulling Janis's life into deeper chaos. Even so, Janis never gave up on music. In 1970, she formed Full Tilt Boogie, a band that was quickly embraced by both audiences and critics. The stage still burned bright, her voice still roared, yet inside her was a darkness that nothing could fill. Janis claimed she had given up drinking, but the silent battle with addiction continued day after day. For her, love, whether with men or women, almost always ended in loneliness, anger, and the fear of betrayal. The tragedy reached its peak on October 4, 1970. Janis was found lifeless on the cold tile floor of her room at the Landmark Motor Hotel. At just 27, her life ended abruptly, shocking the world. The autopsy revealed the cause as a heroin overdose, possibly worsened by alcohol. While officially ruled an accident, some friends remained unconvinced. Bitterly, before her death, Janis had been pouring her heart into the album Pearl with producer Paul Rothchild. She never lived to see it completed, but upon its release, it became an immortal legacy. Me and Bobby McGee, Mercedes-Benz. These songs not only etched Janis Joplin's name into music history, but also served as a reminder that behind that fiery voice was a wounded soul, fighting until her very last breath. If you enjoyed this video, you might also like the one now showing on your screen. Click to watch, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one.